couple of millimeters of rainfall throughout the day, leading to some very playable and attackable greens. The short game, of course, here at Teddy Valley, incredibly important at a course known for its narrow fairways, leading to the irons being one of the most important clubs in the bag of each and every one of the 120 players competing for this second edition of the ENC Weave Championship. Bak Young Young is where we begin our coverage today. She has an iron, of course, playing on the par 3 7th. The pin placement today on the left side of this wide green. She is 4 under, 6 back, and is able to drop that in just beyond the fringe with 3 players in the group, all eyeing a birdie. Che Gabin was our leader after 18 holes of play, shooting a 65. We will be keeping a close eye on her back nine today. She is 3 under at the turn, currently sharing the lead with Hung Yu Min, who shot an identical round of 67 earlier today, matching her performance yesterday. Jung Min, 114 out on the par 4 ninth. Grabs the pitching wedge and it's a great kick. It moves within 3 meters or so of a birdie. One of 6 players with that 5 under score. She, of course, has half a round to go. There's the co-leader, Che Gabin, in some trouble. Missing the fairway left, just inside of the cart path. She's going to look to loft it over the trees and find the right side of the green. Some bunkers to worry about as well if she were to play as aggressive as she could do. Takes the safe route and safely lands, though birdie feels out of the realm of possibility. Just the one bogey on the front nine. That came with a par 5 15th. Birdies on 10, 13, 16, and 17 as she went out with a 33. Sungi, using every blade of grass available to her on the left side of this undulating fairway. 145 for her. Mid-iron shot looking to reach. I'd say she played that quite well indeed. Back to 7. Kim Chae-hee a look at birdie. Bank hard left starting now, and the read looks excellent. Fantastic birdie. Marker down for 2 in the last 4 holes, up to -3 for the tournament, tied for 20th. Bak Young Young, it was a very solid round of 68 yesterday, finishing tied for 4th by the end of 18 holes, but so far today it has been all pars. Seeing others overtake her on the leaderboard for now. Yesterday, birdied this hole. She didn't fare particularly well on the par 3s. The others, circles on the scorecard coming on the par 4, 18th, 11th, and 2nd. Excuse me, and 2nd, yes, respectively. Fairly straightforward, this. Downhill, so speed to be, or uphill, excuse me, so the speed to be monitored, and never really gave it a chance. Played truer than she expected, and be the 7th par to open this Friday afternoon. Final hole on the valley portion of the facility. This is number 9. It's the step inside the fringe. Starting this about 4 feet to the right of the hole. Really valiant try. Kim Ji-hyun. Bogey 4, birdie 6, and an even 36 on the way out. And to 8, Hong Ji-won. Nice bit of play with the wedge. Almost exactly in the center of the green, about 4 meters to pin's left. Half that distance for Moon Jung-min back at 9. Switch around the green, setting up about a 4-footer. That's 3 birdies in the last 4 holes as she hits the turn. Tied for 4th now, only 4 back of our leaders.
네, 알겠습니다.
Number 8, a dogleg left. And 2 meters uphill with the initial drive. Fairly wide open fairway that she finds without much difficulty. Well, everyone in the group that saw a rocky start to the first event of the season back in Korea, Kim Soo-ji certainly qualifies, shooting a +4. 1 under has her closer to where she needs to be, but with the projected cut line hovering around that even par score, she's going to need to add a few more birdies to the total. Picked up her first of the day at 6, bogey free thus far. set, and each member of 29 is in the fairway. Young yesterday driving the ball to literal perfection, 14 of 14 in regulation off the tee, and only the one miss thus far today. About 4 points clear on the par fours and 10 points clear of the rest of the field in terms of her driving accuracy to this point in the tournament. And check out Bean. Tough one where the ball needs to get right. About 6 meters back of the pin. I have to settle for another par. She does have more than enough time to eclipse Hung Yu Min. Said after the round yesterday, performances last season on the year, not necessarily due to lack of confidence or ability, but just lack of experience in solving the game. Trained hard this off season and coming into the tournament, coming into the season. A much more mature golfer, much more mature athlete. You remember she's just 21 years of age. Last season, her first full season on the senior tour. Yeah, meanwhile, an even par for today, and that will continue. T21 was a 69 for her in the opener yesterday. An even 300 meters, 208-meter drive to start it off. See how she connects with the wood. It sounds good. Passes the eye test as well. She took home win number 1 in event number 1 in 2024. Cruising at the Hana Financial Group Singapore Women's Open. 2 rounds of 66. Big points haul for her. Second week of March. Couldn't quite replicate that at the Blue Canyon Ladies Championship, and starting to find her feet in this competition. Young, the tournament that a group mate won inside of the top 10. Can only assume that there's slightly less pressure on her shoulders this season after finally getting back into the winner's circle. October 29th, she picked up her first of the year and breaking the curse of, if it's not a major, it's not in her future. Offline by less than the size of a ball. Forces the tap in. Sugi, that would have been back-to-back birdies. Settles for par.
Oh, yeah.
And from G1, moves to 2 under for this Friday and makes it 7 players at that 6 under score. 131 out for Che Gabin. And needs to pack a little extra power on this. Very wide green, 37 yards off of its front, down into the corner there, which she was able to locate. Only the 2 birdies for her yesterday. She did most of her work on the back 9, where she went 5 under par. Won't call it comfortably ahead because of how hot on her heels Hung Yumi and company were, but definitely posted the best day of the tournament thus far. She currently has to share that top spot. Pak Ju Young in with a 67 today, vaulting up to sole possession of 3rd. And as mentioned, 7 players at the moment at that 6 under mark, projecting a cut at even. So no black numbers today if anyone has aspirations of joining us this weekend. It is the second round coverage of the Doosan Engineering and Construction Weave Championship. We'll be back to Jeju in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Teddy Valley. Great to kick off the weekend with round 2 here. Event 3 and the first time back in Korea for this brand new season. Starting with a big money tournament here with a combined prize pool of 1.2 billion won. Most on offer before the Chris FNC 46 KLPGA Championship, and Park Young would love to be back in form as a two-time champion of that. Lee Dayan finally was able to knock her off the top step of the podium last season. Back to still 6 meters to traverse. Jiga being up the hill towards the finish line. A bit too much speed. Final verdict for her. G1 now 141 at 9. Fault. The wind on that one, she blows well past the 34-yard deep green. And that Som needs 2 strokes between now and 18 to make the cut. Rest the back fringe. Joining her groupmate off the green. And now to 10, Kim Ji-hyun, 152, just outside of our charitable contribution zone. Grabbing 5-iron. Trying to find the center of the green. So close but no cigar. Stopped on the perimeter, and we return to 8. Park Young, a look at a birdie. Left to right break, and just needed a touch more of it. Seung-yi, meanwhile, makes a splash on the right side of the fairway to fantastic spot, pin high, and a makeable opportunity to go to 7 under. Kim Chae-hee at 8, looking to find 4 under. An uphill putt, but didn't need that much power. Ji-hyun punching it, running it, and finding a birdie. That's an audacious read and even more marvelous execution to take her to 4 under. Maybe even a hope and a prayer to go with that to make sure that the point she identified as the landing zone was the right one. It certainly was that. G1 also from off the green. Makes that to about 1.5 meters. And Kim Chae-hee finds her par. Been a great afternoon to this point. Starting to carry that over into some consistent birdies. Jungmin within touching distance of the top now. Back to our featured group in a moment. In the meantime, Shea Gabin here. Over, hit the drive, found the rough, just lofting it up, and gonna have the speed to carry it up the hill. Yeah, right to lefter, and no guarantee either of a par. She can line this up. 7 under is hers. Pace on that putt was absolutely spot on. Slightly gone awry to the right, and we'll make that back-to-back pars now. All of the holes on this valley course, the only one where you can't see the green from the tee here. Just make out that bunker in, or on the horizon, excuse me, which is off to the right of the putting surface. And it's quite the climb uphill as well, 8 meters from the tee to this in-play point. I swear, you want to aim for that greenside bunker. Give yourself the best angle. This is the green they're chasing, and it's Hongju Won who had a 4-footer for a par, but it lips out, and that will cost her a stroke just at the midway mark. Only bogey of her front 9. Goes out with 35. Well, 2024, of course, will feature the race to the WeMix Championship, ranking points based on the points accumulated each and every tournament, with a bonus for the majors at 1.2 million. And of course, we saw the season finale last year, the WeMix Championship, where it was the world's first tournament and sporting event where the purse was offered in cryptocurrency. Kim Chae-hee through 2 events. She is the leader. EA1, of course, with the big victory last week. Up 32 spots. Jae Min-kyung up 47 positions. EA1, we should take care of that bit of record keeping for those who haven't had the chance to glance at the leaderboard today. She was over par, surprisingly, as the defending champ, but was able to climb 26 spots along with Pak Gyal safely inside the cut, not by a massive margin. She'd need quite the moving day tomorrow to give her a chance to defend that title, but will be making the cut. And that miss going long off the tee into the rough, and the chip that couldn't set up a par. We'll see Hung Yumin stand alone as the only player to be in the double digits under par.
오른쪽 밑에? 오른쪽 밑에가 제일 좋고 왼쪽은 안전하고. 상관없어.
From this angle, the pin perfectly in line with the outer left of the bunker. So not one where you want to be short, and not a ton of runway over top of it either. Kim Chae-hee the first to attempt it, and can't stay on the middle tier. It's a 3-tiered green. She's back on that first and lower half. Young next to attack, and she will follow. Excuse me. She will suffer an almost identical fate. Rejoin them in a moment. For now, to 10. Sun Young 2 from the rough 76 meters out. Lob wedge, get it up, get it down. She's done exactly that, and will be closest to the pin. Makes you wonder if she went for a bit of a ride down the cart path with how much extra yardage she had off the tee. So one such moment yesterday, one of the quirkier moments of the day. Yunin hit the cart standing, or parked on the path, bounced down and flew to 287 meters, so we can safely give her the long drive of the day. But yes, Che Gabin and her bogey on the third, the 12th hole of her round, has her looking back up at the top. Hung Yumin, our leader here at the Doosan ENC Weave Championship. And welcome back to Teddy Valley. Tough line on the left side of the green for Doosan Young 2. Delighted to have you aboard. It's turning into quite the lovely afternoon and a bit of a surprising one at that in terms of the weather. Sunny skies, 16 degrees, comfortable 1.3 meter per second wind, though there is some ominous looking clouds off in the distance. We should be okay for the duration of play today. Always an exciting event, the first one back in Korea after starting the season abroad. Some changes to the point system this season, continued great sponsorship and added investment into this tour that has been, but by the season, becoming one of the best in the world, consistently churning out top tier talent in this country. Shinji, of course, we followed her closely yesterday. Privileged to see the 36-year-old veteran back playing in a domestic competition for the first time in nearly 4 years, the world number 18. And the first of the uphill battles. And Park Young, who's about to play an almost identical shot, would be more than satisfied with that result as well, if she could match. Let's join Moon Jung-min. On pace for one of the scores of the day. This is her effort at 11. Can take third outright with plenty of time to go in this back nine. And it's another birdie. So 68 yesterday. She's already done that. 5 birdies since the 6th. All the more impressive considering that early bobble, the bogey at 4. Definitely found her groove. Only 3 players have a better score today. Kim Ae-rim, one of them. She shot a 65, matching Che Gabin's number from yesterday to take her into the top 10. Park Young also looking a little bit right, just tucks in neatly. Behind Kim Chae-hee. Uphill, and it's going to fall off a cliff in terms of the break. That's an excellent read for No Seung-mi. What a putt for the birdie at 12. Her first of the back nine, quite the statement. Came awfully close, just one hole prior, and with a much higher degree of difficulty. Cards another. This yardage in between 2 clubs. How brave did she want to be? Our answer is not risking compounding a tricky tee shot. Lays up. Young, that's the first proper error we've seen her make today. Wipes off that Scotty Cameron putter. The only blemish in the front nine. She goes out with a 37. G1 on the par 4. 367 meters, one of the reasons why it's proving to be quite the feisty hole today. The 16th has it beat by just a few meters at 370 for the longest par 4. And no one, for the most part, fancying taking that bunker on.
Ooh, nice shoot.
And Ju over at 11. Drops in a near perfect approach shot. Moon Jung-min, the big mover right now at 4 under through 11, just 2 off the top. And more than enough time to match those scores. Kang Ji-sun and Chun Ye-sung and their 67s in round 2. Of course, Che Gabin playing on the front 9 on her way in within touching distance and trying to make up for that bogey on the par 3. We'll have more from Teddy Valley. Stay with us. Back out to the course with Hong Ji-won at 10. That was a lengthy look at a birdie. Che Gabin on the 475-meter par 5, the shortest of the quartets. And you can tell with that 67-meter yardage on the approach. A touch of backspin, but maybe 3 meters too much to the left of the pin to really help bring it back. Moon Jung-min playing the best golf of the field at the moment and just compiling highlight reel shot after highlight reel shot. To bring her level, Che Gabin, she should have no difficulties whatsoever with that putt for birdie. Our featured group has reached the 10th hole. It's a blistering drive as the offering from Kim Chae-hee. No time for Park In-kyung to get back in the swing of things. Shot for shot with her groupmate at the moment, and with a hop, skip, and a roll, she comfortably records the longest drive. Charitable contribution zone in line with the bottom of the fairway bunker off to the right. It's a fantastic representation of just how narrow these fairways are, at Teddy Valley. After one of the approach shots of the day thus far, Yoo Hyun Jo has birdie number 3 of the day. No Seung-hee on the par 5, 113 to go. Basically has to hug the fringe here. The real trick is having enough club to get all the way up to that top level. Che Gabin for a birdie and the co-lead with Moon Jung-min hot on her heels. Downhill up at the end. Miss to the inside. Looking greenwards from the rough off the right of the fairway. She stays right and looks a bit perplexed. Couldn't shape that shot and add in that natural draw. It's 136 for Kim Jae-hee. Especially seeing the groups that have come through in the past. Even now, looking down towards the green, you can really see the three tiers, front, middle, and then the drop to the back right. Really difficult to get to that middle portion. She's going for it with that ball flight. She's going to skip it through the fringe, and that's wonderfully played. Won't find too many complaints with that. She'll take a decently uphill putt for birdie as she leans up on the tips of her toes just to make sure that she stayed on the green. Really, there's 3 or 4 meters if you can perfectly place this just before the fringe there and let it trickle on. There's a drive that was 6 meters longer for Park Hyun-kyung. It leaves her with 130. She takes the safer path and able to stay up. Step number 2, now she needs that putter to come through. And Moon Jung-min's brilliant setup shot at 12. There is a lot of break for her 4-foot putt. Doesn't overcomplicate matters and moves into a share for second. That is 5 birdies on the bounce and 6 in her last 7 holes. She is rocketing up the chart. These little stretches of rough on either side of the fairway not proving to be too much of an obstacle today. That is another brilliant approach despite being off from the opener. Quite ready to play her approach, so let's get to some more putts. No Seung-hee on 13. So you'll start this well to our left of the pin, and it's going to swoop right on by to the right. The weight, though, was completely zeroed in. Probably could have used another 2 or 3 feet to the right to get it started. We know she can hit those long range putts. We just saw her do it about 10 minutes ago now. Settle for a par. This is Hong Ji-won back at 11. Grazes the outside of the pin. Been quite the remarkable birdie.
차 들어간 줄 알았는데. 나이스 터치.
서너는 금방이 더 많아서. 네, 플레이하겠습니다.
In the end, it was only 4 or 5 meters. Tricky enough to keep her on the offside of the birdie column. .137 in the fairway. Che Gabin at 5. Another one that's going to play really close to the edge of the green. She's on safely. Park Young at 10. That would have chalked off her bogey at 9. She's very close. She'll settle for her 9th par of the round. How long she steps back and seeks an answer, it's going to be a very frustrating miss. We know the levels that she is capable of. Definitely one that she'll be thinking about long on this walk to the next tee. Drops her ever closer to that projected cut at even par. At the moment of the 120 that started the event, we have 73 at even or higher. Some of those players on the cusp over par rounds. In fact, there are 9 players who are at that even par score who are over for the day, and their margin for error is becoming increasingly slim. Kim Soo-ji 2 under today through 10. Needs to make that at least 3 under. Trying to keep up with her group mates as much as she is those on the right side of the cut line. He's been around this game long enough to know how to get it done. Stay mentally sharp in order to do it. Sungi playing the first of the par 3s on the back 9. There's that helpful little tail to keep her on that front tier. Jungmin, she's birding for fun right now. Her luck might have just run dry, as that's a rather shallow approach. Mix up with the clubs. And Jagabin, this is a fantastic angle. Show the downhill nature of this putt. Well left, it disappears behind her. Just about gets back. Gets that to stick some 4 feet away from the pin. Difficult pin placement on this Friday. Not for the faint of heart, and the bravery not rewarded on that particular occasion. As we go back to the fairway at 11. She's asking for some help from the forces above. Never comfortable with the follow through, and has her work cut out for her again. And on the other side of the green, we find Park Young-gyang. So we need to get a mastery of this 11th hole. And Kim Min-byul on the right side of the cart path directionally. The wrong side in all other senses of the word, and might have just done a number on the face of that club. scraping the concrete as she swung through. If that was on the left side of the cart path, she would have got the relief from it, but because there was enough to make the swing, had to play it as it lies. Two putts and a par. From a long way back to just a couple of feet shy. So the streak ends. It had to at some point. And the current joint runner-up will be settling for a par into the final 4 holes for her next. Kochu hovering just above that cut line. 1 under can put a little bit more space between her and the line. Uphill in what I expect to be a little left to right break. Call it 2 meters. Nicely read, nicely played. And a bit more breathing room there. Definitely was looking a bit dire with those 2 bogeys in the first few holes, but plenty of birdies since that point, and starting to feel a bit better about that score. Hung G1 to about 5 feet or so starting in the rough. Kim Ji-hyun, that is birdie number 3 today, inside the top 10 now. Going about her business very well on this Friday. And Kim In-beol recovering from a precarious position. Let's see if she's turned a page in this round. We return to 11. Kim Chae-hee for birdie. Long backswing. He's plenty of pace to make this climb. And still ends up short by 3.5 meters or so.
금방이에요. 또 걷기 시작했나 보다.
Safely on over the front, and an uphill putt to work with next as we go back to 11. Park Yen-gyang just inside the fringe. On its way, looking for the bird that has eluded her all around long. A foot or two off to the inside left, and she'll have a short par putt next. Jacob Bean has been a quiet stretch for her. Down to the final 3 holes now, and she has returned to the perch atop the field. That is the first birdie since number 17. Definitely more than a hint of satisfaction on her face to finally have that behind her. That is about as close to an ace as we've had so far. 4 feet off the pin. Now, par save time. Drop her to a tie for 31st with a miss, but it settles the nerves. It's a good putt. He has the big stick out on 15, still nearly 300 meters to go. All the way down towards the landscape maintenance cover and safely inside the middle of this fairway. Jay Gabin can't say safely back at the top, but at the top nevertheless. 16, 17, and 18. The holes in her second round remaining to try and take that lead outright, and Moon Jung-min still just right on their heels. One shot back at 9 under. Nearly the bottom of the hour, approaching 3:30 p.m. local time in Soguipo-shi. We will step aside and be back with more from the Doosan Engineering and Construction Weave Championship here at Teddy Valley. Welcome back, picking up the action on 14. Kim Ji-hyun and a look for a birdie. And the tip of the cap, and a round of applause for the player who has 3 through the opening 5 holes of the back 9 and moves into a tie for 6th position, 4 off the top. Jaga Bean will finish her round with a par 3, 5, and 4 in that order. Here she goes on 7. 130 and a front pin placement. It's downhill as well, just a soft wedge to the front. Needs the putter to come through. Moon Jung-min looking to join them here, also playing on a par 3. Maybe a meter. And her ascendancy is nearly complete. On pace for a 66 today. That is her 7th birdie of the round. She still has 4 to play. She's in some unbelievable form right now. It's well off to the right and into the rough. It's going to be a tricky recovery shot. Trying to minimize the chance. That bogey to 15, 117, no swinging in the middle of the fairway. Middle of the fairway to the middle of the green. Watching her with plenty of interest. Other members of the group being treated to some fantastic play. Kim Ji-hyun, no slouch either, 3 under today. Moon Jung-min at just 21 years of age still. Best results of her career, tied for 2nd. That was the Kyochun 1991 Ladies Open last season. She's a long way from getting it done. She is certainly putting on a bit of a masterclass today thus far. Off into the rough to get started. Not the part of the tournament where Che Gabin would be all too worried about what those around her are doing. Gonna take care of business herself. And that birdie takes her to 11 under. 6 now on her scorecard to go along with the 2 bogeys, the outright leader. G1 advancing down the par 5. And now Kim Jae-hee from the rough. High in the air on the pitch, wanting the backspin to have it hit the brakes, but her best case outcome would have been to somehow find the fairway before the green. She's got a long way to come back up now, risking a bogey. No Sungi. This would take her to -8 and nearly had it. Three-footer for par. She stays in the hunt. Great little backspin at the end. Be back-to-back birdies for her. One of 3 players in the admittedly very short history of this tournament, sharing the course record with a 65. The bogey realized to do everything in her power to ensure that it is just the one drop and avoid the double. To 14, we are on cut watch. Yu Hyun Jo, and how about ace watch? Not 10 minutes that I said, as close as we've come to an ace thus far, and we have a new leader in that category. Centimeters away from a hole-in-one. G1 makes it 6 players at 6 under, tied for 6th. First birdie of the back 9. Nicely played 13th. Of course, right here she is looking to still attack without making a bad situation worse. She can find 2 more birdies in the last few holes here. Should be the first to score a 64 at Teddy Valley. Ji Hyun 280, 5 wood, and advances without much drama. Beneath her feet by a foot or a foot and a half. Just gonna lay up in the fairway. Full swing with the iron. And does return to the first cut. Quite the moment had she had the ace. It is nevertheless an important shot in her round as she puts 2 strokes between herself and the cut line now. Very nicely worked for Kim Min-byul. After her 69 yesterday, she gets back under par with a second consecutive birdie. That is up into a tie for 15th position. It is Moving closer and closer to crunch time for for those chasing Hung Yumin. Che Gabin 11 under, 4 under through 16. Moon Jungmin 6 under through 14. We'll have more from Teddy Valley. "3:42 p.m. local time on this fantastic Friday, the island of Jeju. The home stretch. Moon Jung-min, after missing the fairway with her first, recovers with a great iron shot. Can hardly call it a layup. That's what I had anticipated her to play with the lie she was in. Able to work it to 120 and comfortably get up onto the green. And Kim Ji-hyun just about pin high. By the time the spin brings the ball to a halt, about 3 meters away. Is on. After a tee shot gone awry. On this par 3, we shouldn't have anything nearly as dramatic unless we finally get that elusive ace. Come close in the past hour or so. G1 will be the next to try. It's a 5-iron. Longest of the par 3s, and that is probably the exact opposite of an ace. No Seung-hee from the fairway, working on down, and will not quite be able to roll through the fairway just before the green. Well, she is the second best strokes gained all tournament long. Plus 4.5 nearly. She's the second best strokes gained on the greens as well. But unable to adjust the score this time despite a valiant recovery effort. Around the green has been her undoing thus far. She's actually a negative strokes gained. We're down at 87th, minus 0.82. Kim Min-byul with the 6-iron. A little extra power. And that iron is dialed. Inside of a meter. Absolutely no thoughts of anything other than that tap-in birdie. Jay Gabin's approach has been the best of the 120 in the fields. As she works this second shot on the par 5 to the right side of the fairway, we'll see what she can do next. Kim Ji-hyun has battled this putter a fair bit. Unfortunately, lets her down again. No Seung-hee. 9 meters, a chip to get it started. How about a chip to finish the hole? Fourth birdie of the day. She has absolutely loved these par 4s. Adds another to the growing highlight reel. And Jungmin, meanwhile, the par is confirmed. 89 from that last ribbon in the fairway. Excellent. One of her best efforts so far today. Jihyun had just found herself at the 6 under mark. Drops out of the top 10 with a miss, but this should be no problem. Rolls in that par. Off to the beach we head. Plenty of room to land. It's 18 meters out. Carries it forward nicely. Good sand save. It's the first half of that equation. Let's see this aforementioned approach game, 101. A little bit off to the right. A tight line to navigate. Didn't catch it as cleanly as she would have liked. Into 16 where Jungmin electing for wood over driver to start this hole off.
잠시만 멈춰주세요. 네, 저희가 잠정하는 수가 있습니다.
Successful drive and time for a power up. And I mentioned it was only the first half of the sand save because she would have needed that putt to drop to complete it. Fortunately, it ends as a bogey instead. Bit of a cold stretch right now across the course. Ends up as a double bogey for Chega Bean. That is a big plummet from Grace. Brilliant tee shot and a birdie to go to 4 under.
370m 파4 16번째 홀입니다. 작년도 이 홀이 선수들에게는 가장 어려운 홀이었는데요. 티샷도 가장 어려웠고 그린 플레이도 가장 어려웠던 홀입니다. 티샷이 어려웠던 이유는 약간의 내리막이고 제주도의 허파인 곶자왈 사이로 공략을 해야 되는 홀인데요. 티샷이 페어웨이에 잘 떨어지게 되면 세컨샷은 경사도가 굉장히 심한 그린을 공략해야 됩니다. 작년도에 이의원 선수가 이 홀에서 버디를 함으로써 우승의 발판을 마련했던 홀인데요.
오르막 오른쪽이 높아요. 많이는 없습니다.
예.
오, 그런데 여기서 버디 잡습니다.
그린을 경사가 보면은 앞쪽에서 뒤쪽까지 10등분으로 나눈다면은 앞에서 7등분까지는 심한 오르막이고요. 그 7등분을 지나면은 그 뒤쪽으로 또 내리막이기 때문에 홀의 위치에 따라서 무조건 앞쪽에서 오르막 퍼스를 남겨야 됩니다.
It is certainly one of the more dramatic holes this 14th. In each of the first two rounds, we have used just the first 7 yards of the green to place the pin, the opener. 7 yards from the right, 8 yards deep today, 12 yards deep, 7 yards from the left. Won't go as far as to say it brings the bunker in play today, but certainly one that seems to stretch forever off to the left is more likely to be found, but not for the players currently operating at a level as proficient as Moon Jung-min. A bounce and a skip, and that is much more like it. Needs the putter to get in line. The top is certainly not out of reach, especially after Jae Ga-bin's big stumble. Young just a 4-footer. And it is a big birdie because it's number 1 today. Took her 13 holes, but finally reached the mark, and see if that can spur her on down the stretch towards the midway mark. No Sungi with a 7-iron. Finds the fringe, just hovering over that right edge. A big change to the leaderboard with a double bogey for Jae Ga-bin on hole number 8 of the Valley course, the 17th of her round. Finds herself chasing again. Moon Jung-min back on the green on 16 with a chance to take over top spots here at Teddy Valley. 2 hours in the books for us, plenty more still to come. The Doosan ENG Weave Championship. Hope you'll stay with us.
그렇나? 그래? 말씀드리는 순간 콩 뭐고 걔?
공지원.
콩지원.
And welcome back to Teddy Valley. Yoo Hyun Cho has been on a really nice little run of late. Propels herself to 3 under. Back-to-back birdies now.
그러고
Number 5 on the day, just outside of the top 20. No Seung-hee, she is on the fringe, but is going to putt nevertheless. Trusts it more than the pitching wedge, and that's why. Just about jars it. After missing the green on the par 3, it's just a little lob from Bak Young-kyung.
오케이. From the end of the fairway to the much more conducive portion of the green for birdies. And save from Young 14. I know Seung-hee unable to keep herself just on the doorstep. It's a bit of a shocking miss from in tight. Rare bogey on the scorecard. And Kim Chae-hee, this would take her to 3 under. Gonna have to work for it. Yes, excellent. Fantastic putts.
잠시만요. 플레이하겠습니다. 멈춰주세요.
Kim Ji-hyun will go before Moon Jung-min. Sails inside left. Che Gabin, her final hole of the day after a big drop, can salvage a bit of a result. For a birdie, but short and right, and be immensely frustrated with how the round ended after doing so many positive things this afternoon. Yesterday's 65 and today a 70. 2 bogeys on her back nine. It all really fell apart on 8. Lost her ball off the tee to the right, took her penalty, and 3 putts cost her in a big way. She will start outside the lead tomorrow. A birdie in the final few holes ties the course record. 2 in the final 3. Would be the first 64 we've seen at Teddy Valley. A good litmus test for her and for us as the spectator. Basically going to split the blue ball marker and the hole. Needed a bit more. Plays it too fine of a line, and Hung Yi-min, as she follows along, can probably breathe a bit more of a sigh of relief. And the reaction, she knew how close it was. No Sung-hee also wrapping up her round. It's 128. Dead center in the fairway. Really went for it, attacking the left side. Gets all the way up to the top and is going to have to be quite careful. She doesn't play too long and end up on the front side of the green. Two holes remain. Try and snatch the lead from Hung Yi-min. She knows what an opportunity she had here. Look at the par 3 17th at 144 meters. Places it as the second shortest such hole on course. 2 bunkers surrounding the green. It's claimed a few participants today. As we orient ourselves here at Teddy Valley, always wondering where the hole is in relation to Halasan. See, it is almost directly in line off of the back. Pin today, 10 and 10 off the front left. Shouldn't bring either of those mounds truly into play. Kim Ji-hyun still has the honor. And sets the bar fairly high to start us off. Jamin, that's a great little bounce, just needs it to bite in. Carries a bit longer than would have been best case scenario. Tricky putt for a birdie. Has only recorded the one on a par 3 today. She did birdie 17 yesterday, however. With the pin placement yesterday, she'd probably be on for another. Let's go back to 18. No Sungi. Right to left break and sails past the pin. That's an excellent approach. Started excellent. The backspin might have helped. It's deceptive. Green looks a lot more flat when we're viewing down from the camera stand. Young on 15, only 67 meters out, and this time the backswing actually does her quite the favor. View from every angle. Two last opportunities to find 11 under. It's looking good if it's got the speed. It just needed to hang on for a split second longer. Tap in par, and will all come down to 18 for her. A final par 4. An alternate angle. I mean, this must have been teasing from her perspective. Brilliant chance. Kim Chae-hee at 15. Much quieter round than she would have been hoping for. There were glimpses on the front that it was going to be a special day, but moments like that repeatedly slowed her down. Doosan finishes off the round with a par. 2 bogeys on the day, 4 birdies out, and end with a 35, 2 under. And Young. Oh, she's awfully close. Ji-hyun, meanwhile, on 17. Mover within 3 with the make. Her misses to the right. One to go. Well, the picture is getting clearer. Still some answers to seek, however, as we show you number 18. The last at the Teddy course, narrow through the trees, with a creek at 280 yards. About 55 meters from the pin, 230 from the tee. A strong drive, especially in a situation like this hole where it's fairly flat all the way. Brings you in line at the top of the bunker. There are 4 on the right side of the green, 1 on the left. 2 tiers on this green. You can see that little lip at the northeast end as well. And the pin today, only 14 yards from the back and 5 yards from the left side. It is one last opportunity for Moon Jung-min to take the outright lead. For context, yesterday was a par here. It's been a quieter stretch for her. She has absolutely dominated holes 10 through 14. 8 of 10 available birdies to her over that stretch. From there, though, her birdie at 17 yesterday, her only in the final few. Moon Jung-min, she steps out. She was worried about that exact outcome. She sends it to the sand. So some work to be done for her, needing to try and find the green. We'll head back to 18 in a moment. For now, 16. I've just been fighting it a fair bit. Ju, one of the best stories of the back nine, putting together a really fantastic Friday. bit of a lull as each of the players reach their next shots. Let's go through the round of Moon Jung-min. We'll begin on number 8. At this point, outside of the top 10, she had picked up a birdie just a couple of holes prior on 6. Brilliant effort from just inside the fringe, and then she absolutely found her stride. That was 3 from 4 on the way to the midway mark and picked up where she left off on number 10. Uphill, downhill, heavy break, or challenging tee shots, none of it seemed to slow her down. And this little number at 11 would be 4 in a row, 5 from 6. And on 12, after finding the fairway off the tee, left her with 117 and a pitching wedge. She wanted to be front right. If she was front right, all right. To just a few feet away, essentially a downhill tap in, 5 in a row at that point, and started to knock on the door of the top spot. On 14, she made it a 3-way tie up there. It's an unbelievable run, 6 to 14, all birdies except for 2 holes. Now finds herself in some trouble on 18. Not just that she's in the sand, but how close she is to the lip. For her preparations, Kim Ji-hyun is ready, also off the fairway. She plays this from the rough, bounces off to the top and gets a roll from the fringe. That works out quite well indeed. Kim Min-byul at 16, caddy bent at the knees and applauding the effort as she bookends that bogey at 15 with a pair of birdies. Yoo-hyun Jo to 4 under with a make. Uphill, and it has just enough speed and hangs on to the line to get there. 4 birdies now on the back, 6 on the day. 4 under is into a share of 15th position. 6 back of this young woman. 125. Edge of the bunker, trying to reach, comes up just a bit short, but avoids the rough. Based on the first 2 shots on 18 for our co-leader, it's looking like this leaderboard will remain unchanged, at least the top 3. But the par not set in stone either. We'll have some work to do when she gets there. No Seung-hee, brilliant day. 70. To get inside the top 5. Park Ju-young, a 67, equaling Hung Yoo-min. 5 under performance brings her into the mix for the weekend. not much tangibly on the line on this hole other than momentum and groupings for tomorrow. A chip in would have given her, or a pitch in, or aptly would have given her sole possession of the lead. That tap in will confirm the co-lead. A long way off, but ensures she doesn't compound the issue. Caddy had asked for that effort from Kim Min-bell to sit. Like he's more concerned about the backspin to take it off, but could have used a bit more forward momentum. Probably the right club in the end. This would be T4 if she can get there. And pulled it. Kim Ji-hyun. Not a awe-inspiring round, but another really solid performance. Matches the score from yesterday, a 69. Bogeyed at 4, but did not let it cause too many problems. Keeps herself in the mix. That's the most important thing at this early point, or the midway point now, for her in the event. Lee So-young saw her in her Lotte red. Really difficult outing today. +5. 77 means she'll miss the cut. But we will see Kim Ji-hyun and we will see Moon Jung-min tomorrow. Now, will the latter be starting the day as the leader? Or will she be chasing? It all comes down to this putt. And she's pulled it. Just lets the concentration lapse at a really unfortunate time. Bogey 4, bogey 18, however, 7 birdies on the day. Plenty of positives to build on for the weekend, despite ending on a bit of a down note. Kim Min-bell at 17. Left herself with too much work off the tee. the much clearer picture of tomorrow's round, at least at the top. Let's go through some highlights here in round 2. Start with Hung Min. Of course, she was dazzling yesterday, but despite starting on the 10th tee and throwing her a bit out of the groove, it didn't slow down the play. 4 birdies at that point in the round, up to the lead quite quickly. She'd of course have some challenges from other contenders. It's a fantastic day for Park Ju-young, of course, and helped by birdies consistently just like that. In the end, might see some more from her. Up 15 spots, a 67 on the day. Over to 5, couldn't have dropped it more in the middle of the green, and that allows her to attack. Needed to go deep. She did precisely that, and with 5 holes remaining, up to the top she went. From there, however, there would be no more birdieing. All pars to finish it off on the way to a back-to-back day of 67. That was early doors this morning. As the dust settled, more and more players took to the course. And some great approaches. We had a lot of fantastic iron play, underscored, highlighted, and exclaimed by that little number. Carry on to 9. Still waiting for that big eagle. As we get closer to 50%, haven't seen it just yet. You can see lots of flashes, especially from some of the young stars. Of course, Moon Jung-min being one of them. We looked closer at her round highlights, but this on 8 would set her on a spree that would be tough to contend with. Long putt on 12. That was the start of a good push as well. Seung-hee would get towards the end and see some of that shot making quiet down at least, but a couple of big birdies. But ultimately for Moon Jung-min, she didn't need to ask a ton from her putter as she was approaching the green as well as she did. 9 under as she kept that streak alive to start the back 9. Chae Ga-bin, after a bogey earlier in her back 9, have a birdie to get to the top, but things would really fall apart. Not here on 7, but on the par 5. Because on the par 5 at 508 meters, after a fantastic little run to keep the pressure on, helped out by that bogey with a cold putter from Moon Jung-min, we would see Chae Ga-bin double bogey, lost it off the tee into the tall grass on the right. 3 putt once she reached the green. That would knock her down to 2nd spot on the leaderboard. It's one she shares with Moon Jung-min. Hung Min does prevail, just hanging on. It's often the case when your card is 67. Park Ju-young, of course, we saw her in the highlight, 67 for her as well. No Seung-hee's 2 under round keeps her in the top 5. And then you look just a little bit further down. Chun Ye-sung, Fantastic 67 for her as well. Kanji Sun did the same. Kim Ae-rim, though, round of the day, 65, a 7 under, up 71 spots from where she finished yesterday. Kim Min-sol, the amateur. Quieter, but still quite exciting at the prospects for her heading into the weekend. Yoo Hyun Jo, she's still out there, a chance to make it a 66 with a birdie at the last. Kim Min Byul also on 18 at 1 under. Hoda Bin, a 67 to bring her not only under par, but onto the top 25. Hong Ji-won goes over par. Pang Shin-sil, a 67, adds her to the list of fantastic performances today. Chung Yoon-ji, a 69. Hyun Se-rin, a 70. With each of those two players getting to 2 under, tied for 34th. Park Ji-young, much better today. She just wasn't hitting the ball consistently yesterday. She goes with a 68. And these were the players who certainly had some tense moments with that projected cut at even, but enough to get there. Park Bo-gyam, Son Ye-bin, they're not out of the woods yet, especially the latter, who is +2 through 13 holes. Kim Na-young at +3, just hanging on with 4 holes to go. And Lee Mi-jung, a 72, just missing out, as is one of the 2 Thai invitees. Her nickname, Champagne Sherman Santi Watatananpong, just not able to crack that even par score. That's where we will say farewell for you today as we gaze out towards Halasan here on Jeju, and we say adieu for now. We look forward to having you back tomorrow. We adjust the time for rounds 3 hour earlier. That will be 1 p.m. local time in Sogwipo-shi. But it is farewell for now. Thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Fridays, and we can't wait to welcome you back tomorrow for Moving Day, round 3 at the Doosan Engineering and Construction Weave Championship here on the KLPGA Tour. So long, everyone.